Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to do an experiment. We're going to actually combine two experiments from the Food Geek into one thing. I'm going to explain what these experiments are as we go and as I set everything up. We got the usual things here. You know, we have everything we're going to need, almost everything. We have our flour, 20% wheat, and the rest is bread flour. And then over here we have our salt and we have our water. These are normal things when making sourdough. And over here, we have buttermilk powder. That's right, buttermilk powder. This is supposed to make your breads softer. Food Geek used powdered milk. I am using buttermilk because it has a little more fat in it and a little bit more of a flavor to it. It's cultured buttermilk, so it'll be good. I use this a lot. This is the brand I use right here. This is my favorite. It's great if you don't have any buttermilk on hand, which, you know, how often do you use buttermilk that you're always going to keep it fresh? So I use this along with powdered milk in my recipes. It's great. It's fantastic. You will never notice a difference between this and regular milk. But we're not going to add water to this buttermilk to make buttermilk. We're just going to use the powder. The other thing we're going to do today is, as I combine this all together, is we're going to try a different baking technique that Food Geek tested out, where it's supposed to make your sourdough even more sour. So as I put the salt in here, and we're going to whisk all this together, I'm excited to try this out. I'll explain the technique as we go. Two different techniques here. We're going to see how this turns out. I'm excited. So now that we've got this all combined up, put in there, it's time to put in the levain, our sourdough starter. Now, the way I like to do this, and everybody does this differently, I find this to be a really good method for getting your starter really in there, is that you take a starter here. As you can see, it's very active, nice and bubbly. And we're going to pour it into the water. We're going to get it to dissolve. Get every last little bit out that we can. Every little scrap of yeast that's in there is going to help. And also, you know, easier to clean later on. So we're going to stir this all in here, and we're just going to dilute it. Just make it become very viscous and watery. There you go. Now, obviously, we're going to pour this into the flour, but what you don't want to do is pour it all in once. We're just going to pour a little bit with my sloppy pouring and my shaky hand. Just a little bit at a time. We'll pour in a little bit, and we're going to stir it. And we're going to keep doing this, just pouring in a little bit. It's not a lot. You can. I'm not dribbling it in. A little more than that. There we go. And until we get a nice shaggy dough like that. There's the last of it right there. And you're going to see that there's some inside of the cup too. We're going to pull all that out. Get it all out from the bottom. Scrape it out. We want to get in there and pull out our whisk. And now we're going to go in there with our hands because there's going to be a little flour at the bottom of the bowl. What we want to do is just get in there and push it in, twist it in, turn it around, so that all that flour gets incorporated in there. And the technique I'm using here is I like to kind of like pinch it and twist, pinch and twist. And that helps to kind of build up a little bit of the gluten, as well as just making sure that all the flour is incorporated. That's the thing. We want all this flour, you know, to get wet. We don't want any dry flour spots. And now I'm cleaning it off my hand. My hands are always clean. I know I'm using a bench scraper here. Don't worry. My hands are always clean whenever I'm baking something, but I want to get every last scrap. And you know, I hate when I wash my hands and I have the dough on my hands gets down the drain. This is easier. So what we're going to do is 3 sets of stretch and folds, and we're going to separate them by half an hour. So I'm going to grab one end of the dough, and I'm going to lift it up and stretch it out, fold it over, just like that. I'm going to grab the other. I'm going to do this 4 times each side, like a little box, like a cube. And we're just going to do this 3 times with a half-hour separation between each time. You're going to let it rest for a half an hour. And we're going to come back and do this 3 times. Make sure, again, to get all this dough off. It helps. So we've done this 3 times now. This is the 3rd time of the stretch and folds. And you can tell, like, how different this is. It's definitely got more gluten. It's definitely stronger. It's not as sticky as it was before. So, you know, this is doing good. I'm very happy with the way this looks. And now we're going to let this rest for about 10 minutes. And we've let it rested, and now we're taking it out, and we're putting it into a bulking container because we want to make sure that we can track the measurement. I highly recommend bulking containers like this, either square or round, doesn't matter. I'm going to wet my hand a little bit, and I'm going to push around the edges, kind of flatten it out as much as I can. I don't want to punch into it or anything like that, but I just want to get it nice and smooth. Now, the thing that I want to do here is I want to mark it, and I'm going to use a dry erase marker here, and I'm going to mark the edges along each side, about 4 sides here. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to look for 25% growth. That's what my goal is, 25% growth. Now, with yeasted breads, when you're using dry yeast and what have you, they usually give you a time. I'm saying ignore time. It is not important with sourdough. You want to watch it. So I'm going to check this every half hour. And now it's done. It's out, and you can see it's risen about 25%. And I'll show you how I mark this. You see 2 fingers at the bottom. That's half right there. See? You can tell if I go like right here, there's 25, there's 50. You can tell I got about 25% growth here, maybe a little more on some sides and others, but it's an average, I think, about 25%. I'm happy with this. This is good. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this out right here, and we're going to dump it out on our table. Try to get this out with our bowl scraper here. And you can see, get every little bit out that I can, again, to make it easier to clean. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pull up the sides, and we're going to make a bowl. Basically, it's very sticky. You can see that fat from the powdered buttermilk is making it kind of sticky to the feel. I'm going to flop that over. See how I left some back on the bench there? You can put a little flour on the bench if you like. I prefer not to. So we're going to basically pull down and around to shape this, build tension on the top. My technique today is not the best. Some days I do better than others. We're gonna put that on there, stretch it out. It's okay. It'll be fine. Just blend it in there. You can barely see it now. So we're just gonna try to create tension, pulling it in. You can see where it's tucking in underneath. I mean, we'll do this till it's fairly smooth. You don't have to get anything perfectly smooth. It's not going to matter that much. Now, I forgot to film the part where I put it into a little basket here, and there is rice flour on the bottom, and I'm putting rice flour on the top now. And this is so it doesn't stick to the cloth that I'm using, the bread cloth that I'm using. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to spread it all nice and evenly. And don't worry, the rice flour does not change the flavor or anything else like that. It's going to be fine. I like to put it on both sides just to give it a nice look to it. Nice even look. So I'm going to cover it up here. I have this plastic bag. Why do I have this plastic bag? Well, I am going to take this, and this is why I'm covering it up as much as I can, and I'm going to put it in the plastic bag. And I'm going to tie it up here, just kind of scrunch it up, and I'll put it in the refrigerator for 24 hours. Gonna let it set and rise for its second rise in the refrigerator. Play a little fridge Tetris here and move stuff around. A lot of leftovers from the weekend. Close that up. And now it's 24 hours later, and here we go. Let's see how much this has risen, how we've done here. Oh, looks pretty good, I think. I think we've got a little bit of a rise there. It's nice. I'm happy with it. Nice and puffy. From its 24-hour rest in the refrigerator. Now, usually I use a plate when I flip this over. I don't know why I didn't. Why did I not do this? I don't know. There we go. And there's the rice flour on top, and I'm just going to smooth all this out. Smooth it all out, make it look nice. So when I cut into it, it's nice looking. It's more uniform. I like that. And again, this rice flour isn't going to change any of the flavor. It has no flavor. It's not going to change anything. I'll get my lathe here. And we're going to just cut along the side here and up at an angle so we can get a nice rise if we can, get an ear going. Now, I've been heating up my oven at 500 degrees for about 45 minutes, and I'm going to take out my Dutch oven that I've had in there, getting warm as well. Don't want to put it into a cold Dutch oven. That would defeat the purpose. Now I'm going to take the bread and I'm just going to set it inside here. Now, the way that they come up with, and this is the interesting technique, the way they came up, or FoodGeek came up with the idea of making it more sour, is that I'm supposed to wait for it to hit 200 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I'm supposed to stop the baking, just stop until 24 hours later and bake it, finish baking it, at the end, 24 hours later, basically. So now this is about 25 minutes. I should have waited 35 minutes, but I'm taking out the bread, and you can see it's been baking in there. It's nice and risen, it's doing well. And I'm going to take the temperature of it, test it, and I want to hit it about 190, 200 degrees. But I don't think this is there. No, it's about 160. So we're going to put it back in. Supposedly this technique is supposed to help it get more sour. I'm excited to see how it turns out. So it's been another 10 minutes. We're taking it out again, and we're going to test it, and we're going to see where we're at again. I'm hoping that we're closer. And, this time I'm not close enough. I'm going to raise up the temperature to 475. I had it on 450. I'm going to raise up the temperature some, and I'm going to put it in for another 7 to 10 minutes. Okay, it's been that long. I'm taking it out. We're going to test it again, see where we are. Hopefully, it'll be somewhere between 190 and 200. And I can already tell that we're there. It's rising fast. It's at that speed that it's rising. It's definitely going to hit over 200, which means I probably should have pulled it out a little bit earlier. I think what I should have done is 475 the whole time, pulled it out about 30 minutes, and I think I would have been at 200. I will do that next time. So there it is. Now we're just going to let this sit, and we're going to wait for 24 hours. Okay, we're back. It's 24 hours, and here's the loaf. Not as high, didn't raise as much as I would have liked it to. I think that might be because of the amount of fat that I had in there with the powdered buttermilk. I might have put too much in. I kept it in this container, but after it became room temperature, it looks good. I'm happy. So we're going to put it in the oven, 500 degrees for 10 minutes. All right, here we go. What is this going to be? Is this going to be good? It's a little burnt, not too bad though. A little crispier than I like it, but it looks nice. It's fine. The main thing is we're gonna have to, make a determination once we cut into it. I'm dying to see what the crumb is gonna look like. Hopefully, it's gonna be good. I wish it would have risen. It's a little lopsided. Not happy with that. I don't really know what caused that, but here it is. Here we go. We're gonna cut into it. Let's see what that crumb looks like. I am very interested. Look at that steam come out. See a little bit of it, and I thought I let it cool to room temperature. But still, there was a little steam in there, so maybe I should have waited a little longer. I waited an hour. Oh, there we go. So it's kind of dense. I'm not happy with this. Let's cut off a slice. Let's taste it. I don't know why I didn't get a bigger rise. I don't know if that's because of the fat from the buttermilk powder or not enough hydration. Maybe I should have added more water to compensate for the hydration or for the buttermilk powder. So that could be it too. Again, this is an experiment. We'll find out next time. So let's take this. It's nice and spongy. It's not too dense. Take off a little bit, and we're going to try a bite. And it tastes good. It's not as sour as I would like it. It smells good. Tastes fine. It's good bread. It's a little more sour than usual, but not really that much. It's okay. Hey everybody, so that's the experiment. Is it a success? Is it a failure? There's parts of it that I think I failed on. It's a little thicker than I want it to be. I don't know why that is. I think it might have something to do with the fact that I took it out a little too early, and that might have compressed, the rise as it was coming up. Might have been it. I don't know. It tastes fine. It tastes good. It's not as sour as I wanted it to be. Now, I don't know if that has anything to do with the fact that I was using the buttermilk powder, if that counteracted with the fat. I don't know. I think I'm going to have to do a test now. I'm going to have to do a test without the buttermilk powder, same process, and see if I can get it to be more sour. And see if it rises a little bit more than this. Again, still use this bread. It tastes good. It smells great. Tastes fine. Tastes delicious. But not what I wanted exactly. So there's still more work to be done. I'm going to get this figured out. I hope you'll stick around and watch the adventure as we try to figure this out together. Thanks for watching. Hope you're having a great day, and I hope you have fun baking. Bye, everybody.